Hey guys, what's happening? My name is Ster, and in this video I'm going to show you a step-by-step process by which you can use to create a content strategy that drives actual paying customers from Google. This video is sponsored by Inscribe, so every single thing that I explained to you today would be executed for you in Inscribe without you having to lift a finger, and also you get access to our content profit system. So I'm going to leave a link in this video so you can book a call to see if you qualify for our system. So yeah, let's get into this. So you might be wondering, who is this video for? If you sell directly to consumers, B2C, or you have a D2C brand or an eCom brand, this video is definitely for you. Yeah, so like I mentioned, this video, this guide in general is going to be no bullshit, which means that I'm going to be as explicit as possible. So to the extent where you can easily just take this video and easily implement and start creating a content strategy by yourself, which is the goal of this video. Yes, so I am going to start from the basics so you can understand every single thing that I say. So yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, so content strategy, what does it mean? Now, the truth is, content exists in various forms. You know, we have video content, we have written content, like there's several types of content. But in this scenario, in this video, the content that I mean is like a Google strategy, like the Google content strategy that can get you paying customers directly from Google. So I like to describe content strategy as a game plan that helps you dance to the tune of Google, right? Like is like your magnet to easily attract paying customers from Google. So this way you can just, how do I put it? This way you can easily attract customers directly from Google's search engine. So, you know, the content strategy guides where your content should go, how you should get there, and ensures that you don't get lost in the jungle of like other content out there. So now that you understand what a content strategy means, let me just dive into it. Like, how do you get customers from a content strategy? So yeah, the very first thing you need to know is your content foundation, because it's the groundwork for every single thing, right? Think about it like a foundation, right? Because if you don't have a foundation, like an actual plan for your content, like your strategy would be all over the place, like it won't be targeted in any way. Now, the very first step in a content foundation or in creating your content foundation is understanding your audience. Who are the people that you want to sell to, right? Let's say you're an eCom brand. Who is your target audience? Like, who is the exact person that you want to communicate to? So that's something that you need to understand even before you create any content strategy. So yeah, and to understand your audience, you need to also understand that there are different categories of audiences. So we have the unaware audience, we have the semi-aware audience, and we have the most aware audience, like the audience that is actually aware. So let me break this down. Your unaware audience has no idea that you exist or that you can help them. The self-aware audience knows that you kind of exist, but they aren't so convinced that you're the best. And then the aware audience, they are fully aware, you know, that you exist and you're the best at what you do. Now, it's important that you understand all of these categories of audiences in quotes, because it would guide you in creating your content strategy. Now, understanding your audience and their intent is very related, right? So now let's talk about intent. Intent is basically how customers find you, how potential customers find you, and the reason they are finding you. So you can categorize intent into 4 major categories: the informational intent, the commercial intent, the transactional intent, and the navigational intent. So this basically means that like there are 4 reasons why someone would search on Google for your product or your service or something related, and your business shows up. So yeah. Now, creating content around each of these intent is directly proportional to how your audience would find you. Now, here's what I mean. Let's talk about informational intent. Informational intent is basically when you go to Google to search for literally more information on something. Like, you have no intention to buy, you just want to check information on Google. So it's like, let's say you say where to find or how to cut my hair or how to paint my nails, you just want to know how to do something, right? So now, when it comes to SEO generally, a bulk of your audience would most likely be unaware or semi-aware, right? So you need to have a content map or a content strategy to target the informational intent around what your product or service does. And I'm going to get into that later in this video. So yeah, let's just walk through this document together. So someone with informational intent can search for stuff like, how to bake a chocolate cake, how to train my dog. It's usually the how, what, where, when, it's usually around those keywords. And the ultimate aim of informational intent is for your potential customers or the current audience that is searching for something to be able to trust you to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to give you my money. So it's like you want your informational content to actually target informational intent. So this requires you to provide in-depth, informative, and valuable information. So it can include stuff like how-to guides, just like what I'm showing you right now. This is like an in-depth how-to guide, how to do this, how to get this step-by-step process, this content strategy, So it includes in-depth educational resources. It could also be infographics, videos. It depends on how you see it. So let me tell you a quick story. That's informational intent. Now, talking about commercial intent, let me tell you a quick story. So when I wanted to get my first mark, it was a pretty big investment for me at the time. So I did a lot of research, like best mark to get, what model should I get, what version, like it was endless. Like I did like a series of research because it was a significant investment for me at the time. And it's like almost everyone, it's not just me, right? Almost everyone goes through this process, especially when it's something that is significant. Like when it's not just something, how would I put this? Like it's a very crucial decision, right? So it's not like you go to Google to check for what's the best sweet or chocolate. Some people do. Investment is relative, right? But when it comes to stuff like, gadgets, buying or renting a house, shoes, subscriptions, like it's endless. People generally want to know if they're making a good decision. So you also have to build content around intents like this, because that way, not only are you building trust with someone, or not only are you trying to convince someone that your brand is the best, you are also trying to help that person make a decision because they actually want to buy. Now, this is different from informational intent where they are just searching for information. Now, the information that they're searching for is built around a purchase, right? So yeah, I like to say this. Commercial intent is still like an upgraded version of informational intent. Only that, just like I said earlier, like it's laced around buying. So just some examples. Someone with commercial intent will search for stuff like best chocolate cakes under $100, top 10 dog training programs, best shoes for the gym, it's best something, it's usually around that. So yeah, the aim of commercial intent is still to help the unaware and semi-aware audience become aware. So it's like when someone has no clue of the best product to get and the person goes to Google to search, now they had no idea that your brand exists or existed, right? So they just went to Google to search, and luckily for you, you have like a breakdown. You compare your products to other products. Now, what you've done in that instance is to move that person from being semi-aware to fully aware that, your brand exists. So now, the content to target commercial intent, it could be around product reviews, buying guides, comparing your product or service to other people, and then top 10s. Like it's very effective. So yeah, so we've talked about commercial intent, informational intent. Now let's talk about transactional intent. Now transactional intent is sweet, right? Because these people are ready to buy. Now it's different from commercial intent. In commercial intent, they were still like shopping around, best this, best this. But someone with transactional intent isn't bothered about that. Like that isn't like their priority. Like they're ready to buy and they want it now. So like they want to buy, they want to sign up, like they mean business generally. So just for the sake of defining, transactional intent happens when a user is ready to complete a specific action, such as signing up for a service, booking an appointment, or actively buying. Now, this audience category is mostly aware. Now, when I say aware could actually be in two categories. But for the sake of this video, I wouldn't want to confuse you. So aware in this sense is like they know they need something, right? But they just don't know where to get it. So it's like for commercial intent, they know they need to buy. Or using myself as an example, I knew I needed to get a Mac, but I didn't know the best model to go for or where to even like the best retailer that there is. So it's different from someone that has no idea of the best PC to get at all. Do you understand? So yeah. So using the same example of the commercial intent. So for someone with transactional intent, instead of like best chocolate cakes under $100, instead of best, that's such a tongue twister. Instead of best chocolate cakes under $100, it should be buy chocolate cake or buy a dog training program. Sign up for this because they already know they need this and they're just checking Google to help them find it. So, but in this case, they are still unaware that your product or your business exists. So if you do your content strategy right, you'd be able to get this category of people. So that content, we've talked about the types of content to target for each intent, right? So for transactional intent, your content should be focused on conversion. So you want to have your products pages, your category pages, checkout pages or subscription forms, depending on what you sell. So now, you remember what I said about having two types of aware audiences. So this is the other type. So navigational intent is these people know that you exist. They know what you sell. They know that you're probably the best at what you sell. So they're just going directly to you. And this is what I mean. Like they just want to navigate to your website. So people with navigational intent probably don't know like your domain, like the name of your website. So they just type in your brand name into Google, hoping that, your website shows up at number one. So yeah, I'm going to show you like an example of what navigational intent looks like. So yeah. So also there's this popular myth that you don't need to create content for navigational intent, but that is very incorrect because all too many times you have brands or companies that have the exact name. So if you're not optimizing for your actual brand, you'd be surprised that someone would search on Google, type in your brand, and they would be directed to another brand because you guys have similar names or the same names. So you also want to build some content around navigational intent, which I'm also going to explain in this video. Yeah, so content to target this would include branded keywords, which I'll talk about later on. And this includes talking about your business, probably how you do what you do, post purchase. It could also include like your about us pages, your team sections, all of that. Now, the step one to creating your content strategy was, laying the foundation, right? And the first step was knowing your audience. So the second step, still under the foundational stuff, is knowing your audience, right? And knowing their intent together, right? So yeah, let's talk about actually knowing your audience. Like, we've talked about the different types of audiences, the aware, semi-aware, unaware. Now let's talk about the actual audience. So this is what I mean. Let's say you sell skincare brand for women, right? Your direct target audience is women because that's who you create your products for. But also, like, a cheat code for you to also kind of like rake in more customers is also building a content plan around like similar audiences. And when I say similar, that's just for lack of better word. It's like people, because for example now, like skincare, right? You'd be surprised that, men also want to get skincare for their women. So imagine a man shopping around for skincare for his woman and, not knowing how to navigate that. So imagine having a content strategy targeting that audience, which is something I'm also going to explain later on in this video. So yeah, quick story. I was onboarding a client the other day, and the person has a product to help students better understand what they are taught at school. So you thought the audience is only to the student, right? The audience is only students, but after doing some other research, right, and just like logically, the audience wasn't just students alone, because it's also the parents, it's also the teachers, So a major part of understanding your audience is also understanding like the lookalikes or people related or directly correlated to that audience. So because the more you're able to think far into the categories or the different types of audiences, the more you can flesh out your content strategy. So yeah, let's talk about keyword research now. Just a quick recap, right? Step one was understanding your audience, right? No, step one was the foundation, right? And in the foundation, it was understanding your audience, understanding their intent, and also understanding your audience, like the actual type of audience. So now step two is keyword research. Now, this is actually the meat, like the backbone of your strategy, because if you want to shots in the dark, you should skip this part. But if you want to go in targeted and be able to, just precise level, right, of content, this is something you should absolutely focus on. So I made this scenario here just so you can understand the ideology behind keywords. So let's say you're out with your guys and then, you know how men can be, and you guys are talking about a few girls, and then one of your guys thinks that there's this girl out of your league, and then unknown to them, right, this is someone that you talk to on a daily, and because they do not believe you, you just search your conversations for a particular keyword that the lady had used, and then the chat shows up. Now, this concept, you know what, even that's just like an example. It's just like if you, in your day-to-day, right, if you remember a conversation with someone and then you just go to maybe your iMessage or WhatsApp or whatever channel you use to text and you search for that particular keyword and the conversation shows up. That's the exact way Google works. Like, potential customers, like people literally go to Google to search for something and they type in a keyword. Now, for you as a B2C business owner, your job, right, one of your jobs, I mean, you wear lots of hats, right? But one of those is to understand and know the keywords that these people use. So, keywords can be divided into two major categories, the branded and the non-branded. So branded keywords, just like what the name means, they are the keywords that have your brand names in them. So these keywords are used by your aware audience, with navigational intent, which is something that we discussed earlier. So, for example, if you type in Binance into Google or any search engine, it would most likely bring up Binance websites, because you even typing that into Google, it means that you know that Binance exists. You just need help navigating to the website. Now, on the flip side, non-branded keywords, they do not have your brand name in it. They are just keywords still used to find brands or products in your industry. Excuse me. So let's say, and this is very diverse. I'm going to make a few examples here so you understand what the exact thing that I'm saying. So still using Binance here. So non-branded keywords that you would still use to find Binance or Coinbase or any other crypto company out there is like maybe top cryptocurrency company or where to buy cryptocurrency, So something like that, like you can see, what shows up is still Binance. You would see Kraken, Coinbase, crypto, all of that. So now to understand this keywords, or let me even make another example. It's like if you search for, let me think. If you search for, let's say, glasses, if you just search for stuff like glasses on Google, right, you'd see like a couple brands show up, maybe like Warby Parker, just different brands generally. So, but we'll get into all of that. Now, the question is how to do keyword research. How can you do keyword research that would actually target your potential customers? So just a quick check-in. At this point, you already know the awareness levels of your audience, which is aware, semi-aware, unaware. You already know the intent, informational, commercial, transactional, navigational, and you already know the exact audience that you're targeting and the categories of keywords that they use, maybe branded or non-branded. So I'm going to make this keyword research process as simple as possible, and I'll be using some brands as an example so you understand everything that I'm saying in real time. So you can use research tools like SEMrush, Ahrefs, Screaming Frog, Moz. Like it really depends on your preference. But the summary of these tools is that they just help you get real-time information from search engines. So there are two ways. There are two major ways to do keyword research. The first is the domain method, and the other one is the keyword method. I'm going to break down both of them. So the first method is like you just type in your domain URL. So let's say URL, maybe you sell dog food, and your URL is dogfood.com. You just take that and you put it into the domain overview of SEMrush. Now, when you do this, you get a list of keywords that people use to find your website on your niche, depending on your industry, depending on how long you've been in existence. The keywords can be a lot, like it could be thousands, it could be millions. It depends on how big you are already. Yeah, so that reminds me, many brands don't actually know this, but choosing the right domain name is very important. And this is why. Let's say you sell software for recruiting, training, or hiring top talent, and your domain name is a synonym for chicken. Now, you don't sell chicken, but guess what? A percentage of your organic traffic can come from people looking to buy chicken, not talent training software. And this is actually real. This is real. I've seen this happen with a SaaS company before. So, and then there's also this cannabis company we worked with one time. Okay, I don't want to mention their name, but their domain name is around like a card. You know how people play poker and all of that. So it's around, their domain name is actually like a poker name. And the bulk of the organic traffic was coming from people that play poker. So that's something brands actually need to consider. You can, for this domain method, right, you can use this domain method to get the keywords that people are using to search for products like yours, and then double down on it rather. But the process is not the most authentic. It's very deeply flawed because, for instance, if you have more navigational intent keywords, or let's say if a lot of your organic traffic is coming from navigational intent, that means those are your brand names, those are your brand keywords. So you wouldn't be able to see the keywords that people are using outside of your brand. So I don't know why this image is not loading, but the image here was like the other method. So here there is the domain overview, but if you go in SEMrush, there is under this category here the keyword overview. So what you want to do, okay, this is it. So the second method is direct keywords, right? you want to, just like I said, you just put in the main keyword of your product or service into the keyword overview section. Now, when I say main keyword is now, this is where your creativity comes in, because you can have like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 main keywords. For example, using this Away, right? So Away is a luggage brand. They sell travel suitcases and luggage boxes. That's luggage boxes. Luggage? It's not the same thing. But yeah, that is what they sell, right? So for them, they can't have just a major keyword. Like, their keywords would range from stuff like travel suitcase, travel luggage, it's wide, right? But in this instance, right, you can come up with like 3 to 7 keywords to have like to have an idea of the major keywords. So in this case, let me use something like carry-on luggage, right? Now, this is the secret to keyword research. You don't want to go for the keywords that are extremely competitive, because guess what? You are going to spend a profound amount of time trying to rank for that keyword, in which if you go for the low competition keywords, but with still commercial or transactional intent, you would have a higher chance of ranking. You would even rank fast, right? You would rank fast for those keywords. And you'd also have a higher chance of now competing for the major keywords. So you have to build your way gradually. So, and one major thing that I do here personally is that when you type in your main keyword here, right, you can see carry-on luggage. Now you want to go to, this is keyword overview, you want to go to the keyword magic tool and then just filter. You filter for commercial intent and you filter for transactional intent, and you also ensure that the keyword difficulty is like between 0 to 29, because what that would do is to give you like the highest form of leverage, because that means that people are not really targeting those keywords. And another act to this is to ensure that these keywords have significant volume. So here you'd see after filtering this, the volume, you can see like this is, most of these keywords are above 1K. We have 1K, 3K, 5K, right? So no, this is navigational, this is a brand keyword. So now just come with me, notice this. You'd see here we have 22-inch carry-on luggage, we have pink carry-on luggage, we have carry-on luggage with spinners. So what you can do, like a major trick you can do and leverage to your advantage, is to build category pages or products pages around these keywords. Now, for example, something like 22-inch carry-on luggage, you can have a section on your brand, right? This is just for illustration. Anyway, I'm still using Away luggage as an example. So you can have like categories, away.com, awaytravel.com, categories, inches, or shop by inches, and that category page is just it's still going to show you a different product, but based on their inches, right? So that's something you can do. And then you can also, this is very explicit, by the way. Most likely I'll create another video showing you how you can build out category pages to actually capture organic traffic. So if you see, you would also see pink carry-on luggage here. You can also create a category page based on colors, maybe something like shop by colors, and then that would be like the concept of the page, not the URL or anything. So yeah, so that's just by the way. So now let's talk about categorizing keywords. Now, just a quick recap. You understand now that you have to lay a foundation, to make sure that you understand your audience, their intent, and then, the exact audience you're targeting. And then you've also done keyword research. Now, after doing keyword research and knowing the actual keywords that these people are using to search for your products or services, right? You want to categorize the keywords. Now, let me make this about D2C brand, so it's very relatable. when you're doing a keyword or content strategy, you really don't need to do too much, right? And this is what I mean. Just what I explained earlier, right? For DTC or eCom brands especially, you have your category pages, category or products pages, and then you have your blog section. Now, keywords, you can divide keywords into several categories actually. But for the sake of this video and for the sake of this concept I'm trying to teach you, you can have, just like what I explained earlier, commercial intent. Now you can target best keywords, best this, best that, right? You can have question keywords, right? What is the, where is the, when is the, those would most likely target informational intent, but also a little bit of commercial intent. Then you can also have comparison keywords, right? This would target commercial intent because this versus that. Do you understand? So you want to target keywords like this in your blog content, right? Then, now this leads me to transactional intent, because the question you'd ask now is, okay, we've talked about the keywords that you can categorize for the informational intent, the keywords you can categorize for the commercial intent, and the keywords you can, commercial and informational, right? Now, what about transactional? So for transactional, it's basically your product or category pages, because these are the pages that would sell, these are the pages that would actually fulfill the transactional intent, because that person is looking to buy. So when they are shopping around or not sure of the best product to go for, you target the commercial intent in your blog section by categorizing or by explaining and providing valuable information on why your product is the best compared to other products out there. So yeah, I talked about this earlier, category pages. Then what you want to do when you have your commercial intent targeted, commercial or informational targeted in your blog content, what you then want to do is link to the transactional intent by linking to the category pages. So create blog content to target commercial intent, then you target transactional intent by linking to your product or category pages. So yeah, after categorizing after doing your keywords, categorizing your keywords, then you create a content pillar, right? So the concept of content pillar is pretty simple. It's just going to be like, is still talking about this, right? It's just basically now organizing everything, all of the steps. So now you can have several keywords. Of course, you would have several keywords, right? So for all of these keywords, you should target their transactional intent, their commercial intent, and their informational intent. Now, categorizing all of this is what your content pillar would be based on. So it's like the content pillar would be like the gateway to your brand, right? Building it around all of the keywords and all of the intent that your potential customers are using. So yeah, let me still use Away as an example. So you can have like a content pillar around travel luggages and color, right? So this concept in itself, you would have, if you recall what I mentioned earlier, you can have a category page, shopping by color, and then you can have a blog content around something like your guide to choosing the perfect color for your travel luggage, so that's having best content around that, having question content around that, and then having comparison content, targeting the keywords. And then also like the size that we talked about, like 22 inches, 20 inches, shop by inches. And then in your blog section, you have your guide to choosing the perfect size for your travel luggage. Do you understand? So now just a quick recap. At this point, you should have laid the content foundation, right? The awareness level of your audience, then the types of intent that these people are using, these audiences, from informational, commercial, transactional, navigational, and then the exact audience you're targeting, then the categories of keywords that they use. Is it branded? Is it non-branded? Then the exact keywords that they are using to find your product. And then now at this point, you should have categorized the keywords you discovered, right? Yes, so your content strategy is basically that. Like once you create your content pillar, now for something like this, using this, you would have several ideas or several concepts depending on what you sell and how large is not a word, but how many products that you sell. So depending on the amount of products that you sell is how you are going to orchestrate the keywords around all of those products, right? So you can then have different concepts, and then that would be your content pillar, and then your content strategy would now be targeting this keyword in the content pillar. Maybe this is the best keyword, this is the question keyword, and this is the comparison keyword. So having all of that laid down, structured in your project management tool is your actual content strategy. Now, here's what you need to note. It's very easy to do cannibalism. I know it's a cheesy name, but that's actually the name. And cannibalism is when you target the same keyword with like different pages or different content, right? So you don't want to make that mistake, because what would happen is that all of those pages will start competing, right? And you wouldn't have a chance of ranking for anyone. So yeah, that's the iron law of it. Like that's the step-by-step process by which you can actually create a content strategy that drives actual customers from Google. However, like it's not just enough. There are other stuff you need to do even before you think of a content strategy, like having your SEO audits and then, also doing backlinks to have more authority and for Google to see you as an authority and be able to rank you higher. So yeah, if you're here, you should now be in the 1% of people that know how to drive customers from Google using a content strategy. So we also follow the same steps to create a winning content strategy for our clients. And by doing this, we've been able to drive over $10 million in revenue for our clients. Now, if you'd like us to execute this for you and you'd also have access to our content profit system, I'm going to leave a link in this video for you to book a call and get on the strategy session with us. So thank you for listening. See you in my next video.